The diplomatic chamber aboard the Zavtar mothership hummed with tension. Ambassador Krelix's mandibles clicked nervously as he observed the human delegation. These peculiar bipeds had been granted entry into the Galactic Consortium only 3 cycles ago, and already they were making waves across known space. Elsa Chen stood at the forefront of the human contingent, her dark eyes scanning the assembled alien dignitaries with practiced diplomacy. At 26 Earth years, she was the youngest ambassador humanity had ever appointed, but her reputation for negotiation had preceded her arrival. Ambassador Chen, Krelix's translator device rendered his chittering speech into smooth English. As a gesture of goodwill, I present you with a gift from my homeworld. The chamber doors hissed open. 2 Javtar guards struggled to drag in a massive containment field. Inside, a creature lay motionless, easily 3 meters long, covered in midnight black scales that shimmered with an oily iridescence. Its 6 legs were tucked beneath a body that resembled something between a panther and a dragon. Even unconscious, it radiated lethal grace. "This is a Orcs," Krelix explained, his voice carrying a note of sadness. "The apex predator of Javtar Prime. This particular specimen belonged to my brood son, Farat. He died defending our colony from raiders 3 moons past." Elsa's expression softened. "I'm deeply sorry for your loss, Ambassador. The Orcs bonded with Farat since hatching. After my son's death, the creature fell into what your species might call grief. It refuses sustenance. Our finest xenoveterinarians have tried everything." Krelix's 4 eyes glistened with moisture. "In our culture, when a warrior falls, their bonded beast is given to an honored ally. You have shown my people great respect. Perhaps you can give it peace in its final days." The other human diplomats whispered urgently, but Elsa stepped forward. "I accept your gift with humility, Ambassador. I will care for it as best I can." The Orcs was transferred to the human diplomatic vessel within the hour. Elsa had it placed in the biocontainment bay, where it lay like a statue carved from obsidian. According to the Javtar medical files, the creature hadn't eaten in 47 days. By their estimates, it had perhaps a week left to live. Elsa dismissed the medical staff and sat cross-legged beside the containment field. She'd always had a way with animals. Growing up on Luna Colony, she'd rescued dozens of abandoned pets that miners had left behind. "Hey there, beautiful," she whispered. "I know you're hurting. I know you miss him." The Orcs' membrane-covered eyes didn't open, but one pointed ear twitched. For 3 days, Elsa maintained a vigil. She talked to the creature about Earth, about her childhood, about the golden retriever she'd loved and lost. She played classical music, Debussy specifically, and read poetry aloud. The medical staff thought she'd lost her mind. On the 4th day, something changed. Elsa had fallen asleep beside the containment field, her jacket wadded up as a pillow. She woke to a sound, a low, rumbling purr that vibrated through the deck plating. The Orcs' eyes were open, revealing irises that swirled like molten copper. It was staring directly at her. "Hey, friend," Elsa said softly, not moving. "You're awake." The creature's nostril slits flared. Then impossibly, it began to move. The containment field had been left inactive. Elsa had argued there was no point in caging a dying animal. The Orcs rose on shaky legs and padded toward her. Every instinct screamed at Elsa to run. This was an apex predator that could tear a Javtar warrior in half, but she remained still. The Orcs lowered its massive head and pressed its scaled snout against her chest, directly over her heart. The purring intensified. "That's it," Elsa whispered, slowly raising her hand to touch the creature's neck. The scales were warm, almost feverishly so. "You're not alone anymore. I promise." 2 weeks later, Ambassador Krelix received an urgent communication from the human vessel. He expected notification of the Orcs' death. Instead, his screen filled with an impossible sight. Elsa sat in a command chair with the Orcs curled at her feet like an enormous house cat. The creature's scales now gleamed with health, its copper eyes alert and intelligent. As Krelix watched, Elsa absently scratched behind its ears, and the beast's tail, tipped with blade-like projections, swished contentedly. "Ambassador Krelix," Elsa said warmly, "I wanted to thank you personally for this gift." "He's doing much better." "How?" The word emerged as a strangled chirp. "Our best specialist said, 'Humans have a saying,'" Elsa interrupted gently. "Animals don't grieve the same way we do, but they feel loss just as deeply. Sometimes they just need someone to show them that life is still worth living. She smiled. I've named him Faret, if that's acceptable, to honor your son's memory. Krelix was silent for a long moment. Finally, his mandibles spread in what humans had learned to recognize as a smile. My son would have been honored, Ambassador Chen, more than you know. The story of Elsa and the Orcs spread through the galactic consortium like wildfire. Other species had tried for millennia to domesticate apex predators. All had failed. The prevailing wisdom held that such creatures were too dangerous, too proud, too wild. Leave it to humans, the galaxy mused, to look at a dying predator and see not a monster but a friend in need. 6 months later, when a Krellian raiding party attempted to board the human diplomatic vessel, they encountered something unexpected. A 3-meter nightmare of scales and claws erupted from the shadows, moving with liquid violence. Faret stood over Elsa's unconscious form. She'd been struck during the initial breach, and his roar shook the bulkheads. The raiders retreated in terror. When Elsa woke in the medical bay, Faret was curled beside her bed, purring. His copper eyes watched her with unmistakable devotion. Good boy, she whispered, running her fingers through his scales. Very good boy. In the end, the galaxy learned an important lesson about humanity. They didn't see the universe as it was. They saw it as it could be, and sometimes that made all the difference.